Hello everybody, it's the following day, it's Amanda. It's 11 o'clock in the morning on the 7th of October and we're going to do some more Heart Squad now, bringing through the next couple of members. I already know that John Lennon wants to come through next, okay, so I've got his energy here already, very present, and I know that he's going to be bringing through JFK. So I think first we'll bring John in and we'll hear from John in his own right. And if you haven't watched my John Lennon video, then it was done, I don't know, a couple of months ago. It's up on my channel. It's got some interesting stuff in it. And I think there was a link to JFK in that video. So anyway, let's just bring John in. Okay, let's bring John in. So just spraying the Rainbow Bridge again. And just asking for John to be present with us. And it's interesting because he's saying it's almost like there doesn't need to be a bridge, because a bridge implies that you've got to move from one state of being to another state of being. And he's talking about how the new consciousness needs to just be here, okay? His energy today is very direct, very to the point, very focused. There is almost, feels like there's a bit of an urgency to his message today. Urgency in terms of, come on, you know, we need to, we need to evolve. We need to be getting to where we need to be as a world. No more sort of dilly-dallying. We've got to get there. You know, no more the bridge carrying people over. Let's just get to the place that we need to be at. Okay, so where he's showing me that he is today is in Grand Central Park in New York. And I'm seeing him in fall, as you would call it in the States. The leaves are coming down off the trees. So we had George in autumn in the UK in a similar setting. And now we've got John Lennon in Grand Central Park. And I'm just seeing him walking and he's got like an old, it's like an old brown moleskin coat that goes almost to his knees, maybe slightly beyond his knees. It's a long brown moleskin. I think sometimes you call them a donkey coat. Not sure whether that's the right term or not. So he's sort of wrapped up. He's wrapped up for the cold, but he's saying that the cold is not the temperature necessarily. The cold is the climate in the city at the moment. And the cold is the climate in America at the moment. And the cold is the climate in the world at the moment. And he is saying that wouldn't it be nice to not need the coat, to be able to bask in the warmth of human kindness and to be able to feel the glow of love and unity and friendship, rather than that of hostility and oppression and conflict. And he's saying, please realise that I do see love in so many people, both here in New York, which is still so dear to me, and America and all other countries in the world. But I am wrapped up because of the cold that is around Mother Earth at the moment. And it saddens my heart that not enough progress has been made for us all to be sitting around. It's almost like he's saying like a collective campfire. And he's showing me a campfire, and around that campfire needs to be representatives of every single nation in the on Earth, okay? And he's showing me the indigenous people being invited into the campfire. He's saying indeed they are the ones that created it in the first place. But then he's showing me a number of other different nationalities all sat around this campfire. He's taking me to China. which is interesting because I think there's an escalation of certainly word conflict between the US and China at the moment. So it's interesting. He shows me the Chinese, I'm wanting to say delegation, but they're not politicians that he's showing me. These are just Chinese people, okay? Chinese men and women like you and me sitting around this campfire with American people, with indigenous people from many different lands. Which other countries are we going to pull in now? I mean, he's saying pull them all in, but for some reason he's showing me France. He's showing me the UK because he's got a love for the UK. He's showing me India. He's showing me Hong Kong. I think John referenced Hong Kong last time in my last video that I did for him. He's very concerned about the oppression there and the fighting against people that are protesting peacefully. So it's interesting. He's saying to the Chinese men and women, can you just shuffle up and make room for the people from Hong Kong to sit down beside you? Okay, so it's like the people from Hong Kong are sitting beside the people from China and they're holding hands with them, and then it's just like every nation of the world is sitting around this enormous campfire, and it feels as though the campfire is lit in Grand Central Park. Okay, it's symbolic, but that's what I'm being shown. And John is there and he's showing me, he's got a guitar. He's got a guitar and that's all he's got. He's got a guitar and he's got his voice. And he is, I'm seeing him now. He's showing me himself a little bit more. He's actually sat with everybody else around this campfire. And he has still got his coat on, but he said it's getting warmer because I'm feeling not just the warmth of the fire, I'm feeling the warmth of other people's hearts that are present. And he's saying, believe you me. And he's saying this to you watching. He's saying, believe, please believe that there are good people in every single country around the world. There are people that have woken up in every single country around the world. There are people in every single country around the world who want peace, who want to get along with each other, who want to end the fighting, who want to end the competition, who want just to live a peaceful life upon Mother Earth. And he's saying, please know that because you don't always see that. He's saying, let go of what you're fed by the media, which is that we are at war or we are fighting with our fellow brothers and sisters and our fellow countries dotted around the world, okay? Let go of all that. Realise that you have fellow brothers and sisters that are in every single corner of the earth. And he's now taking me up to Alaska. He's taking me to the furthest parts of the world. He's also very pointedly taking me to Russia, but he's taking me to Serbia. He's taking me to Serbia, he's taking me to Russia, he's taking me to literally like the far ends of the earth. And he's saying, could you find it in your heart right now to imagine yourself sitting around this campfire with us all? So he's almost saying he's saying to the world, the people around this campfire are synonymous with the world. He's almost saying to the world, shuffle up, make room for some more. And so there's space being made for you to now sit with all of these nationalities. And he's saying, just sit with us for a while and just see how you feel. So you're being invited to sit around this fire, and I'd just like you to imagine that you're scanning all of the faces that you can see around this campfire. And they all look very different colours, different nationalities, different representations of faiths as well. I'm being drawn to Sikhs, for example. I'm being drawn to Buddhists. I'm being drawn to people of every single faith that you can imagine, okay? They're all represented. It's not just the countries, it's also faiths, it's also colours, it's also ages. And I'm wanting to say it's also politics as well, okay? So it's almost as though there's representation of virtually everything that you can find on this earth, but every single person around this campfire ultimately has good within their heart, okay? They have good within their heart. And John's saying to you now, he's saying, now look for the one person that you feel really triggers you. Maybe it's the one country or it's the one nationality, or it's the one faith, or it's the one person that represents a political party maybe. Look at that and now go deeper, and now don't look at the person's eyes, don't look at what they look like, don't look at the flag that might be draped around them. Can you now just look into their heart? Okay, he's saying they're giving you permission to look into their heart. That's why these souls have gathered around this campfire, to show you that there is good in every single person. Okay, and it's almost as though you're being asked to look into the heart of the country, the faith, the political stance that you have the most problem with. Now, please realise at this point, we don't have people around this fire who are extremists, okay? We don't have people that spread hate. So you haven't got representation of political parties that might be doing that, okay? We haven't got members of, the Ku Klux Klan or anything like that sitting here. We've just got representatives of people who've got genuine goodwill in their heart towards everybody, towards all men. Because what he's saying is, if you scratch beneath the surface, there are representations of that in everything, okay? So just go to the one that, for whatever reason, though, you're a little bit more unsettled with, or you're thinking, oh, I'm glad I'm not sitting next to them, they're whatever, they're French, or they're German, or they're British, or, they're Australian, or whatever, whatever your prejudice is. We all have prejudice to some degree. What's the one country that you're feeling less enamoured with? Go and sit beside them, okay? He's saying go and sit beside them and make friends with them. Start to find some common ground with them. Start to realise that actually you and they are one. Start to realise that actually you can be friends with that person. You can be friends and you can extend. And what he's showing me now is like he's getting an olive branch out. And the olive branch is being passed around this circle, and it's going from right to left. So let's just allow that to happen. And I'm going to bring in an energy of hope, which is linked into the olive branch. And I've got it here, so just hold on one moment. I'm going to get the spray that links to this. There it is. So if your eyes are closed, you could just open them for a moment if you want to, okay? So here we've got the olive branch, and we've got the energy of hope, and it comes in on this beautiful olive green ray. And it's as though I'm going to spray this, and then we're going to visualise that this energy is going around the whole circle, okay? As is the olive branch. So you receive the olive branch in your right hand, and then you give the olive branch to the next person on your left. They then give it to the person on their left, okay? But each time it can only be passed on with genuine love and a feeling of goodwill to the person sitting beside you, okay? And we're going to find there's a few stuck moments where there's a few nations that are finding it, even though they've got love in their hearts, they're still finding it a bit difficult to pass that olive branch around. And I'm seeing straight away where that is. It's in the Middle East, okay? We're still going to do it, right? Hope, olive green. Let's bring that energy in. And it's as though John is now standing up in the circle, and he's literally, it's as though he's acknowledging each person who's passing it on. And then he's going to where, in particular, it's stuck. And where I'm shown, I mean, there are many places it's stuck, but I'm being shown Israel and Palestine. And how interesting that I'm showing you the olive hope spray. Olive trees to me are synonymous with that whole beautiful region. And he's asking that those two nations, that they can pass the olive branch between themselves. And it's interesting, he's saying that they both have to do it. So it's not a case of Palestine giving to Israel. It has to be Israel giving to Palestine as well. So it's as though that olive branch for these two nations has to go back and forth before it's eventually passed on to the person beside the two of them. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's just help them to do that, okay, as a collective that's watching this with John. John's like this mastermind, you know, that's what this is his baby, this is his thing that he's asking us to do. Okay, so we're now seeing that olive branch being passed from Palestine to Israel. And we're now seeing it being passed back from Israel to Palestine. And then it's given back to John. And John passes it to the representative of the country beside the two of them. And that is USA. USA passes it on to the country beside it, which is China, and so on. Remember, the people that we've got around this campfire are what John is saying. He's saying that they're the best of the best. And what he means by that is that they are representatives of each country who genuinely have been able to hold a high vibration of peace and love and unity. And it's almost as though they've transcended the ancestral issues that any country may have. They've really been able to reach higher than many others within their own respective countries. And that is also true for those sitting there representing particular faiths or beliefs. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so John is now sort of getting up from that situation and he's moving away from the circle, because it's almost as though once you've started a party, is what he's saying, and it's all going well, it's like you can sort of slip out unnoticed. People start to get along with each other and you realise that the party can carry on without you. You know, you can slip out and go and do something else. So he's just now slipping away from that circle. So we're going to leave that circle there. And that now exists. There is a, it actually exists etherically within Grand Central Park. Now, this is a shout out to anybody that's in New York who lives near there. I'm inviting you to maybe do some sort of ceremonial work there. It doesn't have to be big and flashy or anything like that. It can just be a case of you going and maybe creating a circle of stones or something. And it could just be 4 stones. One represents the north, one represents the south, one represents the east, one represents the west, and then putting an object of peace in the middle. But you know that those 4 stones and the object in the middle represent what we've just done there, okay? And I'm seeing a particular tree. You'll know what the tree is. There's a particular tree. There's quite a few different trees, but there's one particular tree that I'm being shown here, where it would be nice to do that work underneath it, okay? And it says then we're planting what we've done etherically here, and we're putting it actually physically into the soil in Grand Central Park, okay? John is also saying, because Grand Central Park is a good example of being able to clean up its act. He's saying years ago it wasn't as nice a place to visit as it is now. It had issues with crime basically, and violence. And he's saying the park is actually a good representation of the fact that we can all clean up our act, okay? Nature can do that with a little help. With a little help. That's another song, isn't it? A Beatles song. Can't remember what the lyrics are for that, John. But anyway, he's bringing in that song, With a Little Help. We can look that one up later, okay? With a little help. I'm just writing that down. With a little help, he's telling me now, with a little help we can work it out. We can make this whole damn thing work out. With a little... Hold on. Is that With a Little Luck again? He's bringing in... That's Paul McCartney. Okay. The last video that I've done on my YouTube channel, I reference With a Little Luck. I think it's the same song. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm getting that vibe, With a Little Luck. So we've got a reference to Paul. I mean, Paul and John have just They're like that. Okay, they're like that. So I'm not surprised that that's coming. Okay. Oh, and of course he's saying with a little luck, we can work it out. It's about friends coming in and helping each other. So Paul is a friend. Okay. All right. I'm with you. Okay, John. Let's just see if there's any other message that you've got for us today. Thank you for that beautiful ceremony. He's saying all of life is a bit of a ceremony, really. He's saying all of life is a ceremony. Everything that you do every day can be a ceremony if you choose to do it. He's showing me just making a cup of tea in the morning, or, you know, a fruit tea, or a beverage that's very good for you, whether it's a juice or a smoothie or something like that. And he's saying if you put love into that, and if you and you really respect what you're doing, you know, you respect the water, you respect the I don't know, the lemon that you've put into your water. Oh, okay, he's taking me to Japan. He's taking me to tea ceremonies in Japan, which I've never witnessed, don't know an awful lot about, but I'm pretty sure that the tea ceremony in Japan is very much linked into reverence and respect. It's about slowing down. It's about appreciating. It's not just about, you know, I haven't got tea sitting on my desk, I've got water, but it's not just about sort of, you know, pouring it from the kettle, taking a slug, getting back to it with no appreciation for what you actually have just done, i.e. put life-giving nectar into the body. So he's taking me to the tea ceremony in Japan. Maybe that's a nod to Yoko as well. I don't know whether they ever practice tea ceremonies, but he's taking me to tea ceremonies in Japan. What do you want me to... He's just saying it's very beautiful. He's saying the whole process of the tea ceremony is very beautiful. Creating space for... creating sacred space in your everyday. He's saying we've just created sacred space with what we've just done with that exercise in Grand Central Park. But he's saying you can create sacred space every single moment of the day, if not every moment, but certainly in every day you can create some sacred space. He's just showing me the tea ceremony. I might look at that. Anything else to say about the tea ceremony? And he's just showing me it. He's showing me it. So he's showing me a beautiful, you know, Japanese lady, and they're dressed in the kimono. And I'm seeing the floor, and of course you're barefoot. You don't wear shoes. So it's about cleanliness, cleanliness of the feet. He's showing me the area where you sit has been swept. It's clean. It's minimal. There's no clutter. Okay. I'm going to look that up, John. Okay, so yeah, do. It's almost like for anybody that's going to Japan, next year Japan is very strongly featured in our world, because in 2020 the Olympic Games are from Japan. So we're going to have Japan's energy beaming into our homes. And he's saying that we're going to be learning a lot from the Japanese culture. It's not just going to be about the sport. He said it's the energy from the East is going to be pouring into our homes in a very beneficial way. He's saying there's a lot that I'm wanting to do this. He's saying there's a lot that can be learnt from the reverence and from the respect that the Japanese can show to each other. He's saying, of course, they are not perfect. No nation on earth is perfect, but it's like a deep bow to the Japanese people. There's like a deep love for the Japanese people and the Japanese culture. Okay. He's saying that's really in my heart. It's really in my heart. Okay. Okay, now he's showing me the, whereas he was in Grand Central Park, he's now in, what do they call it? I don't know what they call, John. It's the blossom trees. I'm seeing lots of pink blossom trees in Japan. And I'm pretty sure there is a season where people go to just walk through the blossom trees in Japan. And again, it's very reverent. It's it's like blossom. You know, think about the symbolism of blossom opening up to beauty. He's saying, imagine that you're standing underneath these amazing blossom trees. And he's also showing me a card, an oracle card that I've got. I'm just trying to think what deck it's from, John, because you're showing me it and I need to show it to people. He's saying, I think it's from this deck. Let's just get the deck. Let's see if I'm right. I'm going to pause the camera if I can't find it quickly. It's a lovely picture. Is it this deck? I'm going to pause the camera, guys, because it's not that deck. Hold on. Found it. It's this one, card number 27. It says walking away, and we've got the pink blossom. So he wants me to talk about this card, and I'm going to ask him why we've got the message walking away. Okay, so the blossom, card number 27, 2 and 7 make 9. 9 is completion of a cycle, start of a new cycle. Let's put the card back up. Okay, this is the card he's showing us, walking away. Okay, John, there's many things I could say about that, but I want your words. What is it you're wanting me to say? Oh, look at this. Can you see the blue butterfly? Those of you that watch my other John Lennon video, I mentioned the blue butterfly as being a sign that John's around. Look at my bracelet. Can you see I've got a little blue butterfly? Tracy gave me this. It's a little gift. And I bought this stone for myself when I was in Madeira. It was a sign from John that he was around me. It was one of the first things I saw, blue butterfly. Blue butterflies are linked to John. So this card's got a little blue butterfly in it there. And it's underneath the pink blossom trees that he was just showing me. Okay, so tell us about what you're trying to say here. So he's saying when you are, because he's above the person that's walking away, the blue butterfly is above the person that's walking away. And he's saying it's synonymous of walking away from trouble, walking away from confrontation, walking away from, it's almost the energy of turn the other cheek a little bit. Not in a really sort of passive, weak way, in a place of actual real strength. It takes real strength to be the better person, he's saying. It takes real strength to rise above those who try to bring you down. It takes real strength to not retaliate. It takes real strength to choose your heart over your ego. And he's saying in every moment that you do that, I am with you. Okay, I'm watching you walk away from those that are maybe trying to trigger you at 3D, for example, or just trying to bring you down. And what I am noticing is that every time you do that and you walk away, you are actually instead honouring the beauty of the blossom. You're honouring the beauty of the blossom, of nature, of life, of your own heart. Okay, well, crikey, John, we could stay chatting to you forever. But as you know very well, I have got 20 people to get through in these Heart Squad videos. So I know you're bringing JFK through, and I know people want to hear from him, but they're also mesmerised by you as well. So, I mean, what a powerful team you two are. The two Johns are in the house. So shall we bring JFK through now, John? Okay, we're going to come back and talk to you more. Of that, I have no doubt. Okay, so I'm going to now just try and tune into, I'm going to call him JFK. And I've printed out this photograph of him. Okay, probably that fateful day, but that was the photograph that struck me. So I'm looking at that. He's there with Jackie. And it's interesting. I want to just say this before I formally bring him in. The first thing that I woke up this morning, like probably lots of people, I go onto Facebook, I scroll through what my friends might have posted, and one of my friends posted something, was retweeting something that had been said by, I think it was a guy called Matt Walsh. I'm just going to read it out because it really spoke to me. And then I thought, oh, of course, I'm about to talk to JFK. So, of course, this is the first thing I see today. So this is the retweeted post from Matt. And it says, oh, it's interesting. It talks about Beto. Is it Beto O'Rourke? Hold on, guys. This is really interesting because I've got something about Beto O'Rourke sitting here on my desk, which was a question that came in from one of you. and I've put it on hold because I wasn't quite sure what to do with it. But it links to JFK. So, what is the question? Hold on, pause the camera. I don't want to pause the camera. Because the thing is, when you pause the camera when you're making these videos, it takes forever to stitch it all back together again. It's got to be here. Have a drink of or something whilst you're waiting. Will be the last thing, won't it? Of course it will. Some things are worth rummaging for, though. I'm pausing the camera. You know, never fear that when you send me things that I don't always read them. I do read them. I can't always reply because I get so many messages. But the ones that I know I've got to do something with them, I keep them. And they become these sort of scraps of paper that sit on my desk. And then one day I think, I know, I need to bring that in now. So I'm not going to say who sent me this. And indeed, I haven't got your name anymore. I've just torn out the relevant bit here. But thank you for sending it anyway. She's saying, I've been following you since I ran into you doing the first session with Freddie Mercury. And I would love if you did a session with John Lennon. So I hadn't done it then. So this person lives in the USA, doesn't know how much I follow American politics. And she's saying, right now, we're gearing up for the Democratic candidates for presidency in 2020. One bright young newcomer is Beto O'Rourke. I might be saying his name wrong there, I don't know. I liked his personality and his message. As I looked at him, I had a startling thought. He looks very much like Bobby Kennedy, Jack Kennedy's brother, who was killed shortly after Jack was. I asked my inner guidance and was told that Beto is the reincarnation of Bobby. They have many similarities, both Irish Catholic, born into wealthy families, both married with families, both have a very real caring for the average person, both are somewhat iconoclastic, both named Robert, but go by a nickname. And in a recent interview with Vogue magazine, Beto said he felt he was born to do this. It makes sense because Bobby was running when he was killed. Now he has come back with a purpose. I'm not sure how you can channel someone who has already been reincarnated, but there may be a way. That's something for another time. I'm going to do not this series of videos, I'm going to do a whole load of, I'll look at the 2020 presidency and I'll look at all the contenders from both sides, okay, to make it fair. And I did want to do Beto O'Rourke anyway, because he'd caught my eye. The reason why I brought his energy in is this quote. This was the quote that I woke up to on Facebook this morning. And it says, I say this to Beto fans, Trump fans, all fans of politicians. It is un-American, ridiculous and dangerous to be a fan of a politician. They aren't pop stars. Support them if you agree with their policies. Criticise them when they go wrong. They are servants, not gods. I think it says gods. The last bit, for some reason, hasn't printed. You get the gist, okay? And if we think about JFK, he seemed to be almost like one of the first breed of politicians that came in with this very, for want of a better word, celebrity type status, okay? And was elevated in that way. I have a very strong link between him and Princess Diana, by the way. I'm just looking up his date of birth and death here for my own interest. But again, like with Princess Diana, you know, that cult of the cult of Diana is very similar. Like there's like a cult around JFK, whereas actually, you know, she was who she was, he was who he was, but yet we build them up so much. So he was, JFK was born 29th of May 1917. So, okay, that's interesting. 29, 2 and 9 make 11. That doesn't surprise me at all. He was assassinated on the 22nd of November 1963. Okay, so that's before I was even born. Assassinated on a master number day, 22. Okay, so it's got spirit written all the way through this. He was the 35th President of the United States from January 1961 until November 1963. Okay, wow. You see, you know, obviously I didn't live through it, so he was only president for 2 years. But yet, my goodness, what an impact he made. How interesting. All right, I'm a little bit nervous to do this, so let's just... John says it's fine, don't worry. He's a human being like everybody, or he was. He's now spirit. I'm feeling like I want to light this candle. Isn't that interesting? I've just picked up this candle, which is a bit special. This is a candle that we are making dedicated to Princess Diana for next year. But anyway, more of that another time. But there is a Diana link with him. Why am I picking up Diana and him? I don't know. They hang out together. They're the same soul group. They're same soul group. Okay. Ooh, okay. They are leading members of that soul group. You know, it's like suddenly it's not just the members of a soul group. They're like way up there. You know, they're it's too crass to say king and queen of that soul group. Because it's not about royalty. Although they both did have that sort of royal... Well, obviously Diana did have a royal status. Jack, John, JFK, whatever you want to call him, he had that sort of royal... You know, it's like he was royalty. It was like his American royalty. It's like he almost deserved that title of American royalty without getting into the whole thing about royalty and whether we want it or not. There's a royalty to both of them. There's a royalty that they have within their soul group. They're very respected by their soul group. They are leaders of their soul group. Okay, that's what I want to say. Let's just call it leaders. They are leaders of their soul group. I'm seeing them as they're very equal, those two, Diana and JFK. Okay, very strong connection. Very strong connection. Oh God, it would have, he's saying, okay, I've got him here now. I'll bring him formally in a minute, but he's saying it's as though you couldn't have had both of those alive at the same time on the planet. No way. Diana and JFK, if they'd been alive at the same time on this planet, they would have just blown the heart chakra wide open. That was never going to be allowed. So they came in at different times and in different ways and in different personas and in different sexes, with different missions and in different countries. But effectively, it was all the same thing. It was about blowing open the heart chakra. Where was he shot? Okay, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to get into that. I was just wondering where he was shot, because I'm hearing like shot to the heart, but I think it's almost like it was a shot to the heart of the people that were watching, and it was a shot to the heart of mankind. In the same way, like when Diana died, it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking to lose her, and it was heartbreaking to lose him. Okay, let's bring him in now. I'm going to pull a card before just to help me bring him in. So he's quite a big energy here. He's quite a big energy. It's an understatement. I want to shuffle a card and just see what I get for JFK. Just helps me introduce his energy. JFK. John. Can I call you John? Can you give us a card just to start us all off? This sort of English girl sitting here is a little bit in awe of you coming in, so can you just help me out here? Come down and just help me with this work, please. Oh, he's got real humility and humbleness. It's just like, don't be in awe of me. Don't be in awe of me. You don't need to be in awe of me. He's got a lovely face. He's got a lovely face. He's got such a friendly face. Beautiful eyes. Wow, his eyes are beautiful. Beautiful eyes, lovely face, friendly, open face. No pretenses. He's wearing a blue shirt, soft blue cotton shirt, no tie, it's open at the neck. Trousers look a bit like chinos, something like that. He's not wearing a suit. And the card that came through is the 7th chakra, which is the crown chakra. Bottom of the deck, the garden and the gate. They are less cards that I need to now talk to you about. That is more him saying, I'm coming in. I'm coming in through your crown chakra. My energy is here. My energy's here. It wants to come through you. You're here. This is me at the gate. Just open the gate and let me in. Gladly let you in. Okay, JFK, you're here. Okay. But it's like we're opening the gate for everybody. I'm going to call him John. I know some people call him Jack, but I'm going to call him John. Because they've got the 2 Johns. Okay, so I just relax into this. And it's interesting, John, because before you came in and when I knew I was going to be doing this today, I felt like I was going to have to call you sir. I felt like there was an energy of sir, and I think it's just the fact that everyone called you sir, or you know, had a lot of people who were sort of bowing and scraping type energy around you, and I don't think he liked that actually. So he's like, oh, you don't need to call me sir, you know, just call me. And it's like, what do I call you? Do I call you Jack? Do I call you John? Do I call you JFK? He says you can call me whatever you want to call me. He's saying I really don't mind. Okay, so I'm going to call you John. All right, so let's just see. Where are you currently? Just show me where you are at the moment. Okay, so we're building the... let's just build the Rainbow Bridge. Rainbow Bridge is here. He's here anyway. It's like, I want to go back to Dallas. I want to go back to the place where he died. And it's as though there is this stain, there is this pain, there is this hole, there is this fracture in the earth, is what he's showing me, of the shock and of the horror and of the disappointment and of the injustice and of the death of the dream that sank very deep into the land there. And I'm just wanting to put a single candle flame wherever that place was where he transitioned and passed. And it's as though needing to bring some peace back there. He's saying to me, the dream didn't die. The dream didn't die with me. The dream lives on. The dream lives on. Other people will and have and will carry that torch and that flame so that the dream will never die. How are you feeling right now about state of the world? And I guess a nod to your own country, of course, USA. He's showing me himself looking down at the ground, but it's synonymous of a lot of people who aren't wanting to face the truth of what is going on within the country. He's saying a lot of people are wanting to turn a blind eye, which is why I'm sort of I'm seeing him looking down like this. It's symbolic. He's saying a lot of people are not wanting to face and look the truth in the eye in terms of some of the ugliness that's out there at the moment, and the hate and the prejudice. There's a very strong energy similar to what John Lennon was bringing through. It's as though they're both looking through the same lens, and they are seeing a distortion. He's saying it's a distortion of the human spirit. The human spirit is... The human spirit, let me rephrase that. The human spirit can be the most beautiful, noble thing. The human spirit can transcend any negativity or wound or injustice. The human spirit can rise and be seen brightly, not just by others in the near vicinity, but in the whole world. The human spirit, when it is embodied fully and is striving towards peace, love, justice, compassion, lights up not just yourself that holds that frequency, but your whole neighbourhood, your whole country, the whole world, the whole planet, and the whole universe. He's saying people need to look up and see what is really happening. But I'm getting this feeling from him that he's acknowledging that many people are afraid to look up and to challenge. Are frightened to speak up. And he's saying, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to challenge what you know in your heart is not right. Don't be frightened to stand up for those that cannot stand up for themselves. Don't be frightened to stand up for America and the essence of who she is. Liberty, freedom, and a carrier of light, not just for those within her shores, but a beacon for the wider world. And he's showing me the Statue of Liberty. And he's showing me the portion of the Statue of Liberty where she's holding the flame. And it's as though the flame is somewhat diminished, he is saying. And he's saying we need to bring back the brightest light that we can hold as a nation, to not just transform and heal ourselves, but to light the way for the rest of the world as well. But to do that, we have to start at an individual level and put our hand up and fight for what is right, what is just, what is fair, what is helpful, and let go of what is not. I'm getting this energy with him where he's just noticing and he's not judging. He's not judging. He's showing me people and it's like they're shuffling around. He's saying a lot of people are just shuffling around, trying to get on with it, but also weighed down by energy. It's as though, as a nation, it's like shuffling, weighed down. He's saying, I want people to put their shoulders back. I want you to look at each other in the eye again. And he's saying, when you do that, you start to connect with people. It's a bit similar to what John was saying in terms of look at people in the hearts. But I feel like JFK is saying, look people in the eyes. Don't be frightened. He's saying the eyes are the windows of the soul. You can see somebody's soul light within their eyes. Let people see your eyes. Let people see your light. Let people see what you carry. Let people see the strength of that. That you are not weak, that you are not oppressed, that you are not bound, that you are capable of rising through any challenge. So many of us are cheering you on and wishing you well. But it's this energy with him, and I don't like to see, and it feels like it's America. I don't like to see my nation like this. It's like that's what he's feeling. And he's also talking about people going very inward. He's saying it's time to come out. It's time to be proud of who you are. It's time to make America truly great again. Not just for a limited few, but for all. What about the wider world, John? The state of, what should we call it? The state of political parties in general, or the state of those that lead us in general. He's taking me straight to New Zealand. He's taking me straight to Jacinda Ardern. He's saying, look at her. It's like he's in the Oval Office now, and he's got this great big map of the world out. It's a really big map of the world, and it's like he's got his finger and he's like, look there, look there. And Jacinda Ardern, I just know this, it's just me talking now. I read something last week where she was saying that if you could sum up what her policy is in one word, what she's trying to achieve, it would be kindness. Kindness. And this is what JFK is saying. He's saying, look at her. It's like she's pointing to the map. Look at her. Look what she's doing. So it's like he doesn't want to, he doesn't need to talk about those that are operating in a lower frequency way, because he's saying you will know that anyway, don't you? He's saying, don't give your attention to that. He's saying, give your attention to the light bearers of the world. He's saying the dream lives on in them. And he says, she is not alone. There are others out there also. He's taking me down now to the bottom of, well, I'm saying the bottom of the world. It's just because it's where I'm sitting at the moment. South. He's taking me to South Africa. What about South Africa? I know Martin Luther King is an American figure, but I've got Martin Luther King and JFK, the joint energy. It's almost as though, the only way I can describe it is it's like there's a council above, you know, in the higher realm. There's a council above made up of figures such as JFK, such as Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela I've got now. And it's like they're all, when I say they're scratching their heads, it's not like they're scratching their heads thinking, oh my God, what do we do? It's more that they're putting their heads together to try and bring in solutions to some of the most difficult places on our earth at the moment. And I think I'm being shown South Africa because of the, what's the opposite word to escalation? The descent into violence and disharmony and pain that is there at the moment. But it's like he's talking for all of them now, because it's like, yeah, I've got Nelson Mandela here, I've got Martin Luther King here, and I've got JFK, but he's speaking for all of them. He's saying it's linked into, it's almost like a game plan, it's a strategy. it's how can the divine help these countries that are really, really needing help. Okay, so there seems to be this energy with JFK. It's not just about America, it's about other parts of the world as well. Okay, very aware of where the violence is. He's very troubled by the violence. And he's saying, well, this is because also my life ended via an act of violence. I experienced violence. I had a violent end. And although he's fine now and there's a lovely peaceful energy from him, it was a violent, brutal end. And so therefore it feels as though he's wanting to help situations around the world where there is brutal violence. Really, it's almost like fist on fist, it's almost like primal violence. His death was brutal, so there's this energy where, because he holds the energy of the peace bringer, he wants to bring the energy of peace that is within his heart to areas in the world where there is brutal violence, not just in America but in other parts of the world. I'm wanting to say at this point, John, if you can bring some of your energy into my country as well, UK, London in particular, where there is an uprising of violence at the moment, brutal violence amongst young men, women, knife crime basically. So he's saying, sure, yeah. And it's like he's got this notepad. It's got like a long list of places on it, and it's like I'm seeing he's got like a pen. He's got like this. He's got this blue shirt on, and it's got like a pocket here, and he's just got a pen out of his pocket, and he's written London down. London noted. He had a huge long list of things that he wished to accomplish in his life and in his presidency, and it was cut short. On one level, you can say it was cut short, although no death is ever accidental. The soul decides its moment of choosing. So he's saying, very much like Diana, that the shock of his death was like a valve being released in people to help them release feelings of loss, pain, pent-up emotion, cracking open the heart, basically. The heart can be cracked open through many different things, not just through all the lovely, happy stuff, but through pain as well. That's how the heart opens. And as I said before in previous videos of mine, it's very important that when the heart gets opened through pain and loss, you keep it open. Not for more pain and loss to come in, for love to come in, for support to come in. So his death, like Diana's death, it's like they're very much like that. The deaths are quite similar, were these earth-shattering events that happen in our world from time to time. Fortunately, not that often, but they do happen from time to time, where there is a global outpouring of grief that completely and utterly opens up the heart chakras. So his death was, in one way, meant to be for that to happen. But I also know the human Jack, I'm wanting to call him now, the human Jack, had a huge long list of things what he wanted to accomplish. And so he's behind anybody that comes in wanting to pick up that list, basically. Pick up that list and get on with the job in hand. Get on with the jobs in hand. Has the list got any longer, any shorter? He said the list has got longer. And he's saying the list has got longer because of the amount of corruption that is around government, and which sadly exists. It's this thing of, I'll do something for you and you can then do something for me. And he said this has gone on, of course, for eternity. And he's not just talking about America here, he's talking about many other countries. UK would be very guilty as well, South Africa, lots of different countries where this applies, probably most countries around the world, sadly. Certainly it's featured at some point, but it's the corruption that is needing to be addressed. And he's now taking me to, I'm wanting to sort of say, I'm wanting to say mafia. It's like mafia, it's like a mafia connection. The dismantling of groups, gangs, secret clubs that, you know, the people that, oh, okay, this is going to really trigger a few people if I say this, John. Say it anyway. I can't remember what they're called, the Gun Association in America. That's what he's showing me. It's like people that pay money for policy, people that feed the machine, people with vested interests. He's also talking about oil barons. He's talking about arms agents, people that are making money in government off arms, off weapons, off guns, off oil. It's all this backhanded dealing that's going along, and that's why the list has just not really shortened very much. And again, you know, I've now almost got like a nod to John Lennon's energy that's here as well, because John sort of hasn't left. This is like the urgency that John Lennon was bringing in. It's like, come on, you know, come on, you know, John is quite a revolutionary, so, but it's like peaceful revolution. You know, take back the control for yourself. Take back your ownership. Empower yourself. You can change the world one person at a time, but you've got to stop. But we've got to stop being these stooped energies where it's like, I don't really want to look at it because it's too difficult. It's too it's just too difficult. It's like, look up, look up. It's your world. It's your world. You can change it. These people at the top, John's saying, sorry, this is JFK speaking now. These people at the top, you put them there. You put them there and you can change them. You can have the people that you really want to lead you, but it's got to start from the ground. It's got to start from the ground. So grassroots, he's very into the grassroots. I will say one thing just to lighten it up a bit here, because we'll come back to JFK. Might even try and do it on the 22nd of November, which was the day that he did actually pass. Okay, I'm going to make a note of that in my diary. But just to lighten it up now, another aspect to him, because he's not just all about politics, is the first thing that he was showing me today. I got this connection with socks. I was thinking, socks? What are you going on about socks for? You know, you're JFK, why are you going on about socks? And he says, no, not socks that you put on your feet. It's like socks, S-O-X. I think it's is it a baseball team? It was leading me to baseball, basically. It was like a connection to baseball. And yeah, I know nothing about baseball whatsoever. I've never played baseball in my life or sat through a baseball match, but he's saying it's really good. It's really good. He really likes the baseball still. I think he must have always liked baseball, but he's really still into the baseball. So, and it's almost as though I think he still sits there in the stands. You know, I mean, you know, energetically as a spirit, he hovers over baseball matches, and certainly the big ones. You know, he's saying baseball can bring out the best and the worst in people, but he's saying at best it brings people together and it brings a nation together. He's saying, you know, sport can do that. Sport can do that. I must just say at this point, it's not necessarily linked to John, but I've had Muhammad Ali hovering a little bit with regard to heartsquad, and just getting that. There's an energy of sportsmen at some point wanting to come in. And I think Muhammad Ali might be one of the first, but certainly JFK is bringing in the energy of baseball. And now, sorry, this is me talking now. I'm just interpreting what I'm seeing from JFK. So he's showing me baseball, but now my intuition is showing me the film Field of Dreams. Kevin Costner, beautiful film. You know that film? And he builds a baseball pitch, doesn't he? He builds a baseball pitch. And the whole thing about the film is believe it and they will come. Believe it and they will come. And it's almost like that's what I think, this is the energy that both Johns are trying to bring through for this reading. It's like, believe the world you want it to be and it can arrive. If you haven't watched Field of Dreams, watch it. It is beautiful. It is about baseball, but it's about much more than just baseball. It's about believing in any dream and going for it. The dream hasn't died. The dream hasn't died. The dream can be whatever you want it to be. I'm going to end, I think, JFK with this quote, which is one of your famous quotes, and I've written it down here, which is, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. I think that's attributed to him. Anyway, I'm bringing it in. Ask not what you can do for your country. No, sorry, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. And he's saying this is still the ill of much bad policy and much bad decision making when people vote politicians in. Because he's saying very often politicians will get voted in because of ego issues about what can the party do for me. And he's saying, although that is understandable if you're on the breadline and you need jobs or you need help with money or healthcare or anything else, he's saying it's also about you realising, it's almost like he's wanting you to say, vote with your heart. It's like vote with your heart, not your ego. That's a message that's coming through very strongly. But equally, rather than just looking at what's wrong with your country and what you don't like with your country and what you don't like in terms of the leadership of your country, he's saying, look at what you can do to help your country change from grassroots up, okay? It's got to happen from the grassroots level. It's not going to happen the other way down. He's saying people keep voting people in and expecting it to trickle down from the top. He's saying that is the wrong way of looking at it. He's saying it actually trickles up from the bottom. And so if you work on the grassroots and you work on yourself, he's saying eventually you get the leader that emerges that represents the real grassroots, okay? But that's almost like where we're going wrong. Anything else, JFK, before I close off here? He's just shown me the dove of peace. He's shown me the dove of peace that just wants to flow into our heart. Just allow that dove of peace to flow into your heart. Blue and white. And then it's along the lines of let that dove of peace multiply. And let that dove breed, And then it's like seeing these beautiful other little baby doves flying out from your heart and then going and nesting somewhere else, okay? And bringing about the change that you want to see. Okay, I'm going to leave that there then for these two